Jet Jurgensmeyer, nice to finally meet you. Sort of.
Great to finally meet you. I know it's over Zoom, but it's
Yeah,
good for now.
I'm a Zoom virgin, by the way. This is my very first Zoom call.
Well, you're doing well. I was just telling you before we
I did my
started, like the
homework.
audio's good. You did your homework.
We even have a studio light here. I think you do too.
I do. I have one of those ring lights. Tries to make me look somewhat decent on camera.
I'm finally getting up to speed with the technology today. This Zoom stuff has just taken off during the pandemic, and now it's
It,
what everybody does.
it really did. That's how when COVID happened, that's how I wrote with a lot of my co-writers
Mm-hmm.
was over COVID. Uh, Before we started, we were talking about my birthday and how I was at my co-writer's house on my birthday. When he and I first started writing, we wrote for about a year and a half purely over Zoom and did not see each other in person for almost 2 years. And we became great friends over Zoom.
Well, that's great. We love the technology and we love what's going on with you. And
Thank you.
we've played your video Falling 2 on our TV show a couple of times. We only
Thank
play
you.
one video a week, and you got chosen for that week. We're going to do it again here soon.
Amazing.
You got any new video projects coming out?
I definitely do for this upcoming album that's going to be coming out at the start of next year. We're gonna put out another digital release right after the new year starts. And I'll imagine probably the next radio song that we put out we'll have a music video out for it.
Singer, songwriter, actor, pretty much a triple threat. And you're
Thank you.
also giving back with the Ryan Seacrest Foundation, I noticed. That's
Thank
a
you.
good deal. Tell us about Falling 2. How did that come about? You co-wrote that song, right?
Yes, sir. So I wrote that song with three really, really close friends of mine, Kyle Winsky, Pearson Swanson, and Brian Sauerwald. And when we wrote that song, we had no idea that it was going to be written when we started that co-write, because we all walked in that day and we literally spent an hour and a half throwing around ideas. Brian was cooking him and Pearson breakfast. I mean, we were doing everything but writing a song. And finally, an hour and a half in, Kyle started kind of strumming the chord progression, just kind of chunking away at something. And Brian hummed the first two lines of the song randomly, what ended up being the first two lines. And I kind of sat up and I was like, hey, I don't know what that was, but that was kind of neat. Can we spend 20 minutes on that? And if nothing comes of it, let's go get lunch. It, and and about another hour and a half later, we ended up having the song. I had the chorus in my notes on my phone for months and months and months. I tried to write a song to it, tried to put it in different songs. It never flowed right. And then when it came to writing this chorus, I was like, well, I have this. Let's see if this flows. And it all came together and it was all meant to be.
And the acting, that started way before the music, right?
Well, sort of. They kind of started together. My parents owned a bar here in Nashville called the Nashville Palace. It's right across the street from Opryland. It's still there to this day. There's a picture of me on the wall up in there. And I started getting up on stage there when I was 3 and started singing. And I
Uh-huh.
would tell jokes for people and kind of entertain. And then I started acting at 4. But they both really kind of started at the same time. I kind of just fell in love with entertainment in general very young, and started going to California when I was 5 and kept on working and stayed pretty busy out there.
Was it hard to break in to get your first part?
I don't think it really was for me, because I was just, I was young. I wasn't looking at it as work. I was having fun, honestly.
Yeah.
As cliche as it sounds, I was enjoying it. I was 4 and 5 and I was getting to, go meet a bunch of people and hang out with people for a job. And I didn't really know what that meant. And I just enjoyed being around people and entertaining people. Uh, so once I kind of did a few jobs here in Nashville, commercials, music videos, things like that, some small projects. My agent, who's still my agent out here, Mark Block, he said, I have a friend out in LA. I think you guys should go out there for a bit and see what happens. And I had a meeting, got the manager that we worked with for years out there. And then she connected us with my agent that's out there. And we just kind of went full steam ahead after that.
What's your first love for music or acting?
I really don't think I've ever been able to pick. I do love them both. I love entertainment as a whole.
Hmm.
And I think there's many different forms of that, whether it's music, acting, comedy,
Voice
whatever it might
acting.
be, voice acting.
Hmm.
I mean, shoot, being the person that creates the light shows behind bands is entertainment because those really make or break a show.
Yeah.
So I just love putting a smile on people's faces and helping people forget about whatever it is that they're going through, even if it's just for, 3.5 minutes for one song, helping them just kind of get out of their head and just enjoy life and their surroundings for a moment.
Do you have any acting roles coming up that we should watch for?
I have been doing a lot of voiceover work since COVID
Uh-huh.
happened. I've been doing a lot of voiceover work my whole life, really, but over the strike, I was able to continue working for Nickelodeon because they have a separate contract with SAG-AFTRA. And so I've been doing a lot of voiceover work for them and then just really, really focusing on this next album because I'm really excited for it. And it's new. I've really think I've kind of found my sound and the style that I want to make as an artist, because that's constantly changing, especially as you're growing up in your teen years, putting music out and kind of finding what you like, what you enjoy writing and releasing. So I've really, really been working on that a lot.
All I Need is the new single.
Yes, sir. It's our new digital release. It's doing really well. Within like 24 hours of it being out, it was on like three of the biggest playlists on Apple Music and Spotify, which was really cool for me because I'd never been on those. And that meant a lot to me. It was honestly really, really shocking because I wasn't expecting that for just a digital release song, not one that's even getting played on the radio. So that meant the world to me.
Well,
And I love that song. I think Falling To and All I Need are songs that just about everyone can relate to. Everybody's, fallen for someone, felt that way about another person. And you'll kind of get to see the progression of that and then the fall of that on the album, which I'm really excited for.
well, it sounds like you just had a great upbringing for what you're doing now with your parents and turning you on to music and being born and raised in Nashville and then getting to go
Yes,
to Los
sir.
Angeles and launch your acting career. Wow, what a dream life you've lived. You're only what you turned 20 yesterday?
I turned 19 on
19.
Monday.
Okay.
19. And I'm very blessed. I'm fortunate enough to have parents that kind of have been in the
Nurtured you.
industry for a long time and nurtured me and were able to kind of guide me. And now they're there and they're my support. They're always there with me. They're at every gig, every performance, every meeting. They're always there. And and I value their opinions because they have been in this industry a lot longer than I've been alive.
And they still have their business, the restaurant.
No, so they sold that when I was 8. And
Okay.
so kind of because, the first 8 years of my life were kind of spent in there, on stage and doing that sort of thing. But then acting, I was doing a lot of that. And so it just kind of became hard and they were willing to give that up to kind of support me. And that, like I said, it means the world to me.
Yeah. I went out to Hollywood when I was 22. I'd graduated from the University of Texas. I didn't have much
Ooh,
experience, and I tried to be an actor for a while. This was
there
back
you
in
go.
the 80s. I'm almost 65. Uh, was totally unprepared, not prepared like you were. I later on did some theater and loved
There
it.
you
I
go.
did
You
about
know,
5 years of community theater.
That's cool. I've never done theater. I have some friends that have tried to get me into like musical theater and stuff like that. I've always said that I'd want to do a musical, like a movie, like a
Uh
like
huh.
a musical movie, like Grease. That's where, oh my goodness, the one of the
Do you dance
greatest.
too?
I do. I do. I did
Okay.
dance for a long time, so I don't look totally uncomfortable dancing. But I've never really done musical theater, and I don't know if it's something that I'd be good at or not. So maybe one day I'll throw my hat in that ring just to say that I did it to kind of check that box off the list of accomplishments.
Well, maybe Broadway. Who knows?
Maybe
Something
that would
tells me
be
you
a
wouldn't be doing community theater. It'd be something a little bigger than that.
I don't know. Well, let's do a community play
Uh
first,
huh.
and then we'll see how it goes from there. Maybe we'll move on to like musicals on Broadway. Maybe
Are you doing live performances too with your music
I
concerts?
am. I am
Yeah,
playing all the time between especially over the summer. I was playing here in Nashville a lot on Broadway here in Nashville. And then, out in Ashland City, the outskirts of Nashville, in Missouri, I was performing. Up in Cincinnati, I was performing. And then, we were at the end of the summer and kind of into early fall, we were doing radio promotion for Falling too.
sure.
And so we were driving anywhere from Missouri to Arkansas to Alabama to Virginia to Kentucky, and I was performing at radio stations, doing that as well, promoting and keeping myself busy, racking up those highway miles.
Yeah, it's a grind, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, I'm not complaining about it by any way,
Oh, no
shape, or
way.
form, because there's a lot worse jobs that people could have out there. I get to play music and talk in front of a camera for people for a living.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna try to act like I have it bad at all. I'm very blessed.
Well, I appreciate your time. I know you're probably got other calls waiting for you on hold, but
I
thanks.
actually, ironically enough, I'm going to the studio right after this to record the last song for the album. I'm not kidding.
Oh, good. Well, very nice to talk to you.
Great to meet you
Thanks
as
for your
well,
time,
Jim.
Jet. I
Thank
really
you so
appreciate
much.
continued success, and we'll be airing this on my TV show, and I've got a radio show too. We'll do that.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. God bless. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, sir.